These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. I used to wear bulky guards that slip down every game. These stay in place the whole time.
These shin pads are stretchy, durable, definitely not be ripping anytime soon.
Switch to goat sleeves now. They don't slip, they don't slide, nice and snug, nice and tight.
It's crazy how light these things are. I've worn a lot of old school pads in my time. In these, are featherweight and super comfortable.
Legend begins where heroes end.
Why are you still wearing those old clunky shin pads when you could be wearing these?
I used to struggle with shin guards sliding all game. These are a game changer. Put them on, you don't even notice them. They're comfortable, keep you going until finish.
It shows how fast you move on the pitch because it's stuck to the shin bone and does not slip and slide all around the shin.
No distractions, no readjusting, just focus on the match. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material is soft and supportive. It's the perfect mix of comfort and performance. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there. These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material is soft and supportive. It's the perfect mix of comfort and performance. The first thing I notice is that these guards don't move. Once they're in place, they stay there. I can tackle, sprint, or slide without adjusting them. You feel secure and locked in. My first impressions of the GOAT's guards, honestly, super light and super clean. Straight away, you can tell they're built to move with you. No bulk, just sleek protection that actually feels pro. These guards don't move.
Hi everyone, I hope you're well. It's Raymond Woods here. We hope everyone had an amazing Christmas and you got lots of presents from Santa. We're still right in the middle of the holiday season. We've still got New Year's Eve to come up next week and then New Year's Day. But as we said to you last week, guys, we're going to be with you all the way through now. The only day we've missed was Christmas Day. We've got an action-packed hour for us today, guys. So big thank you for joining us. As ever, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel here on YouTube at The Raymond Woods. Once you're subscribed, you're then able to ask questions and drop questions into the chat. If you're not subscribed, you're not going to be able to ask questions. So, can I get everyone, if you have got any questions you want to ask today, maybe also tell me what your best football or soccer item was that you got across the Christmas period, maybe as a present. I'm really keen to know if anyone got any new boots. Did anyone get anything from Goats? Yeah, it's a super pumped to cover that one off. So we've got today's meeting, then we're back tomorrow for podcast Sunday, and then next week, Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday, all back to normal. No days off as we motor into 2026. And as we all know, 2026, especially in the men's game, is a huge year because it's a World Cup year and it's going to be in the USA, and we're going to be with you coming live from the USA in 2026, which is super exciting. I'm getting some good messages coming in already. Someone got 2 pairs, not 1 pairs, but 2 pairs of Predator Elite. I'll tell you what, Jake Watson, Roddy, that's a good effort. 2 pairs of Predators. I don't think I ever got 2 pairs of boots. That's a good effort. Someone got the 2020-25 championship ball. Championship ball from where? From Premier League or from La Liga or A-League or MLS? Tell me where that Championship ball was, or do you mean Champions League ball? So what we're going to do is, I'm going to get straight into it. I'm going to go into my screen control and let's see if we can transition you guys across. Okay, so a couple of little things. We've added in a new post for everyone to notice and have a little look through. So if anyone's been into the community in the past 48 hours, you'll notice that we've added in this new particular page. And the reason why we've added this in is because we're constantly wanting to make sure that you guys have got all the information that you need, and you're definitely not too short. So we've already covered these two posts before Christmas. Our community safety rules, especially with having players under the age of 18 on here with us, with mums and dads. Not sure where to start. And then we've actually added this other extra one in, okay? And it's called How to Use School Properly, okay? Now we know that some of you have made comments in this and you've seen it, so thank you for that. But we just need to make it clear because we think we've got a little bit of confusion, maybe with some players and some families, that I think maybe families and some players are thinking that we're constantly going to be doing the work and the data for you. Guys, remember this is a two-way street, it's a two-way highway. You need to put in your data and information, and then if you want to, you can request meetings with me, you can request one-on-one meetings with me, and we can go through your data to accelerate your development. However, if you don't want to get a one-on-one meeting with me, which obviously has a cost implication, I'm here 4 times a week, guys. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I've heard a rumour we might even be going to 5 times a week in January. So, on those 4 occasions, especially the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you've got a great opportunity to ask a question and I'll answer it live on air. Or if you don't want to wait to the live call, you can actually just ask it here with Inside School. DM me, drop in a community post. If you don't know how to drop a community post, well, DM me and I'll teach you how to do it. And then when you drop the community post in, I guarantee before I even get to send a reply, I guarantee one of my amazing members will already reply and help you out with it. That's how good this community is. But I'll always still drop in the DM or the community post just to say, yeah, what Jake told you is completely spot on. That's the right place to go and find this particular piece of work you need. And we're all here to support each other. So some of the things that we covered off on this email, we get a lot of confused parents and players saying, well, what about the football plan? So remember, what we're currently on, school, what we're showing you now, that is the football plan, okay? It's a live, evolving development plan. It's not a static PDF anymore like it was 3 years ago. It hasn't been that for many, many years now, okay? And we update live on air. If data's not submitted, though, the football plan can't evolve for you, your son or your daughter. Match analysis, if you're on the full-time programme, all right, it's up to you to submit your objectives every week. Now, remember, when you're submitting your objective results, okay, you're going to basically, I'll come back off this one and I'll walk you through this one. But if you want to know how to do match objectives on this screen here, you can see there's a heap of posts, okay, and there's a post here from the 1st of October, how to record match objectives without a camera. So if you're wanting to just record match objectives for you, your son or daughter, also there's one below, okay, how to submit your GPS and match objectives. And remember, just a reminder, if we go into members and if we type in here, match, you should have a user that pops up, match analysis. In the chat here, all you will do is you will just drop that into there, okay? And you will drop that straight into the chat, into there, and put your results in, and that will go straight through to our guys, and our guys will then be able to make the changes, okay? And they'll send you some updates. So that's a little bit about match analysis. It's exactly the same for GPS. When you log in GPS, all you do is jump in the chat, okay, and then attach your GPS. Now remember, with your GPS, you don't need to log it every week. Once that sheet is full on the football blueprint, on the GPS tracking sheet, then you send it in. So it might take some people 3 weeks to fill a sheet. It might take you 10 weeks, okay? Hopefully it doesn't take you that long, and then we will go back through. So we just go back to this post that we put on the community. So that's match analysis, that's GPS. Again, if you just type in the word GPS or match analysis in the community, it will pull up all the different posts and topics, and it's not that hard to find some information on it. All right, performance feedback. Triple P's feedback model is data-driven, not opinion-based. Remember, this is the world's only first objective data-driven football or soccer program to develop it into a superstar. There's no subjective opinions on here. So you've got to log your match data, you've got to submit your GPS, you've got to engage fully with your objectives. If you don't put your data in, then you get no performance analysis, all right? So this is not a failure of service of delivery on our side, which unfortunately every now and again a lot of parents seem to think that we're failing or we fail you. Guys, as all of my engaged members know, the guys who are killing it, the guys who live on this platform every day, you get it because you're involved in the program and you're committed. And hands off and hats off to all of you guys who are on here constantly. And there's a hardcore group of about 150 of you on this platform daily. So thank you for those guys. All right, GOAT sponsorships as well. We have in the past said that we'll help you getting GOAT sponsorships and boot deals. All right, I think there's a lot of you on this platform who would contest that you have been sponsored this year. You have been given free equipment and gear. And the reason why you've been given sponsored gear by GOAT is because you're putting in. You're working hard. Some of my best players on here and the guys who've got the most GOAT giveaways, okay? The likes of your Jakes, the likes of Khaleesi's, all right? The Davis family, the Matthews. Okay, there's a reason why all of you guys are getting freebies is because you're putting in. If you're not putting in and you're not involved in the community and you're not submitting your GPS and you're not submitting your match analysis, guys, then that's why you're not going to get things like giveaways and sponsorships. It's like life, guys. The more you put in, the more you get out, okay? Support's always available, guys. So as we said, if you drop a DM or you drop a community post, I guarantee within 24 hours you'll get a reply. But I think most of you will contest again that I reply sometimes within minutes. If it's a topic for Tuesday, Thursday or Saturday live weekly calls, then I'll always reply back to you to say that we're going to cover it in today's live call. Now, also, talking about today's live call, we asked you guys to submit questions last week, and the good news is we have got 3 players who've been chosen. So Jake Watson-Roddy, we're going to answer your question today. For Jokic, we're going to answer yours, and Khaleesi, we are going to answer yours. So big congratulations to those 3. Now there is going to be a prize for one of those 3 players, and I'm going to tell you at the end how we choose the winner for this particular prize from one of them 3, okay? As we've mentioned, okay, players and families must provide training on the pitch, match participation. You must submit your data and you must be consistently engaged. Now, we don't expect you to be on here every day, but if you're an engaged family and a player, there's no reason why you can't be on this platform 3 to 4 times a week for 10 to 15 minutes, just to check in, see what's happening, see some of the latest posts, see some of the latest opportunities, and to log your data. That's the most important thing, okay? So it's a two-way street. If data's not logged, matches are not submitted, objectives are not engaged with, okay? So you give me the data, you feed me, and I will feed back to you. It's that simple. It's really easy to do, guys. Again, we're here for you to support you. If you've got any problems, let us know. All right, so just to finish off, so school exists to guide players back on track when they slip. So a checklist that you can all have, okay? And this checklist is dead straightforward to follow. Logged into school regularly. At least try and get on each day for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, review your football plan content. So when we say football plan content, we mean here, school. School is your football plan, okay? Have you submitted your match objectives or your match analysis results at least once a week? If not, why not? Logged GPS or manual match data? Have you logged your GPS data? If not, why not? Have you engaged with your objectives fully? Are you reviewing them? Have you asked for help via a DM to me on here when you're unsure about anything? If you haven't, guys, and you haven't DM'd me, then that just basically tells me you're not really overly interested and you're not engaging, okay? And that's okay if you're not engaging for any reasons, if you've got stuff going on at home. But if you don't ask me, I can't help. And parents actively supporting the process. So that means, for me, mums and dads, I do it with my daughters, check in once a week and say, have you been on the platform? Have you been submitting your GPS? Have you been submitting your match analysis? Have you been raising some questions? If not, why not? And I also get mums and dads have got a lot on the plate, and you guys don't have time to be asking questions all the time and going on for your son and daughter. This network and this support program has been set up with your permission for boys and girls to jump on the platform. It's a safe environment. We've got a very tight-knit community with very strict codes of conduct, so everyone is safe in this community. So there's no reason why, even if mums and dads are busy in the background doing dinner, getting lunches ready, packing school bags for the next day, there's no reason why the players can't be on whilst mum and dad are in the background doing other stuff and getting the most out of the platform. So hopefully that explains that post. Any of the pinned posts, I always like to explain and spend a little bit of time to go through them. So I'm hoping that some of you are putting questions into the YouTube section for me, and I'm about to just launch up my screen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the first question, okay? And the first one was from Jake Watson Roddy, and I'm just going to pull up my screen here, so just bear with me while I pull up the screen, and hopefully I'll be able to connect to my whiteboard and we can do our first little session. Just bear with us, guys, just while I just connect that. And what I'm going to do is I've just got a couple of issues with this Wi-Fi connection. So what I'm going to do is I will put us back here and I'll be back with you in about 60 seconds. Go and get yourselves a quick drink. Go to the bathroom. I'll be back with you in a moment.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Ghost grips, they stay cool and dry from start to finish.
These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. I used to wear bulky guards that slip down every game. They stay in place the whole time.
These shin pads are stretchy, durable, definitely not be ripping anytime soon.
Switch the goat sleeves now. They don't slip, they don't slide. Nice and snug, nice and tight.
It's crazy how light these things are. I've worn a lot of old school pads in my time, and these are featherweight and super comfortable.
Legend begins where heroes end.
Why are you still wearing those old clunky shin pads when you could be wearing these?
I used to struggle with shin guards sliding all game. These are a game changer. Put them on, you don't even notice them. They're comfortable, keep you going until finish.
It shows how fast you move on the pitch because it's stuck to the shin bone and does not slip and slide all around your shin.
No distractions, no readjusting, just focus on the match. What I like about these is you can wear them all day. Training, recovery, travel, they never lose shape. The material's soft.
Okay guys, I think I've got my little technology issue sorted. I'm going to give this one more go, bear with me, and I'm just trying to connect the screen up and we should be able to get started with our first question. Thank you for your patience, guys. Okay, so it looks like we are up and running. Nothing like when something doesn't work for you, even though you've got it all set up before the call. But the best way to fix anything is turn it off, turn it on, and then 9 times out of 10, we are up and running again. So, what we're going to do is with our first question, and I love this question. Now, Jake sent us a question about penalties. And the question that he said was, how can penalties be better understood from both the goalkeepers and the takers' perspectives, particularly in relation to the mental factors involved? I'm interested how pressure, confidence, decision making can affect both roles. From the taker's perspective, I want to know how anxiety and expectation influence the shots. And with it being a World Cup year coming up, obviously penalties are definitely going to be in our forefront of our minds. So, great question, Jake. Penalties, I actually, for probably 39 years of my life, I actually realised how hard they were and I didn't have a definitive answer. And I went searching to see if I could get a resolve for this. And unfortunately for the goalkeepers of the world, I've actually come up with a foolproof model. So what I mean by a foolproof model, 100% of the time, you can win penalty kicks, guaranteed. All right? And I'm going to show you how we do that. It's an actual goalkeeper's nightmare. All right? But also, I've got some tips and tricks for the goalkeepers up my sleeve here as well. So, what we're going to do is, we're going to talk a little bit about all the different sections, and we're going to talk about the penalty taker's perspective to start with. So, first thing when we talk about is pressure, and this is an important one. So, the taker, 100%, all of the expectation is on the taker. So that's pressure from a second you know you're about to step up. If you miss, you get blamed. If you score, it's the normal and it's expected for you to score. So what this does is the pressure, it creates something called anxiety. Okay? And that can tighten your muscles, and it also does something that we discovered in our research. It actually shortens your decision making, which is not a good thing, okay? So that's one of the things that we've got to come under is pressure, anxiety. The next thing is confidence. So these are all the different factors from a penalty taker that we have to think about as a coach, as an assistant coach, as a player ourselves. So confident takers decide early and commit. This is what we discovered in our research. So the guys who don't stand around, don't allow the dirty goalkeepers who love to try and time waste and get in your face, they get up, put the ball down, turn the back from the keeper, walk towards the edge of the 18-yard box, turn around, run up and strike the ball. We actually discovered these guys are 82% more likely to score, okay, than players who take longer than 20 seconds. So from when you arrive at the referee or the official to get the ball, if you take longer than 20 seconds, okay, you are 82% less likely to score a goal, okay? So there's an art, and it's all about the decision making, being confident and committing early, okay? Now, when we talk about decision makers, okay, we're looking for power and then area, or you might call it placement. So that's where you're going to plan to put the ball, okay? And then disguise, if you can disguise where you're going to put the ball. Now, you can do this in a couple of ways. It could be where you're looking. You might want to trick the keeper to be really looking down to the keeper's left. You might want to be looking down to the keeper's right. My advice would always be, if you've got any information on a goalkeeper, always find out what his weaker side is. Because as all the goalkeepers will tell you on here, they love diving to their strong side. But if you get that ball anywhere remotely close to the corner of the weak side, they've got no chance of getting to the ball. Okay? Now, one of the other things is anxiety and expectation. So your anxiety as a player rises when players think about the outcome, the external judgments. Top penalty takers, they focus on these two things. And this is what I thought was really important to teach you today, because this is what we discovered from over 25 years. So when you're taking a penalty, okay, focus on the process, not the outcome. Now this might sound a bit bizarre, because you'll think, well, wait there, but we've got to score. Yeah, but if you focus too much on you've got to score, then you're going to make a mess of the penalty, and you're going to get in this zone where you're going to have anxiety, you're going to tighten your muscles, and you're going to shorten your decision making. So what are the processes you can think about? Striking the ball clean is important. And another process is your strike zone. That's where you want the ball to go. So the top penalty takers for the last 40 to 50 years have focused on the process of making sure on the run-up they get a clean strike of the ball with, say, the inside of the foot. So if you're a right-footed player predominantly, and they've already made the mind up that they're going to go to the keeper's bottom left, and then they step up, they don't change the mind, and all they're focused on is striking a clean strike of the ball and striking low and hard into the keeper's left, okay? And those penalty takers we actually discovered are the best at converting, okay? And these guys will convert 91%. Now in those 9% where they don't score, what we actually discovered was, it was actually hats off to the goalkeepers. And we discovered that when the goalkeeper made that decision to go early and picked a side, they just pulled off an absolute worldie of a save. And that can happen. Even if you get that ball right into that bottom corner and hard and low, it's still sometimes, 9% of the time, will be saved by the keeper. But if you follow your process, not outcome, strike the ball clean and hit your strike zone, you are not going to be left with any anxiety. You're basically going to be in the confidence zone, so you're committing early, okay? And you're going with the top decision makers. So hopefully that helps everyone. Now you're probably wondering, but Ray, you said you're going to give us the secret to guarantee that 100% of the time we win as a team in penalty kicks. And I am going to share that with you, but I'm going to give you some advice on the goalkeepers first. And then I'm going to give you the number one trick as a coach, as a team, as a player, what you can share with your coach. And this method is quite scary. We're yet to find a team that have lost on penalty kicks when they follow this particular secret. So the secret that I'm going to give you, I'll give you in about 5 minutes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this screen clean and we're going to have a little look at the goalkeeper's perspective. So, when we're looking at the goalkeepers, what we've got to think about with our goalkeepers, very similar layout. Keepers are under pressure, okay. Keepers have less downside though than the outfield side. So from a keeper's perspective, they've got a lot less to lose, because the way it's looked on from a goalkeeper, if you can save 1 to 2 penalties, you've done your job, or at least put the player off from scoring, okay? So it allows goalkeepers, because they've got less pressure, they can take more risks and what we would call calculated risks, okay? Now I know we've got a few goalkeepers on the programme with us and there's a few online today, which is great. Also, confidence is a big one for goalkeepers. Now, for a goalkeeper, you want to do a couple of things. You want to appear big in the goal. So you've probably noticed when goalkeepers are about to try and stop a penalty, they'll jump up and down. They'll wave their arms left to right, up and down like a windmill. They'll touch the crossbar. They'll make the crossbar move. There's a heap of things they'll do to make them appear big in the goal to try and put the attacker off, or the striker, or the player, whoever's taking it. They will also very sneakily try and delay the penalty taker with any sort of head or mind games that they can to get into their player's head. The risk they run is obviously getting spoken to by a referee. Nervous keepers though, I've seen this, they guess early. And also they overcommit. So what we mean by this is guessing early and overcommitting. They reveal themselves to the player far too early. So they start making that move to the left or to the right even before the penalty taker has actually struck the ball. So this is one of the big warning signs that we've got to watch, is guessing early and committing or overcommitting, okay? Now with the decision making, what we want to think about, there's a couple of cues. There's 3 cues that we want goalkeepers to follow. And all of our goalkeepers on the programme are going to like this, okay? So, run-up angle. The planting of the foot. And also the hip direction. Now, these are the cues, okay? So the best saves come from waiting longer and not guessing faster. So what we're doing is we want the goalkeepers to watch the run-up of the player who's about to take the kick, looking to see which foot they plan first. And believe it or not, you've got time to watch all this happen. And then the hip direction. Now, if you're a goalkeeper and you watch these 3 things happen, you're going to improve your chances greatly to not necessarily saving the penalty, but at least to getting to the right side, whether that's the left or the right, okay? So that's going to be a big thing that's going to really help you as a goalkeeper, okay? Some of the things that we discovered that can really, really help goalkeepers is the routine. And we discovered that a deep breath and breathing is super important, and it allows goalkeepers to focus. The second thing is eye contact with the player about to take the kick. And the final one and the most important one is what we call a verbal cue to self. Now, the verbal cue might be Predators. The verbal cue might be Manchester United. But that verbal cue is a prompt to remind a goalkeeper to do something or to follow a process. And the verbal cue, and this is the top tip I can give any goalkeeper, when you do your deep breathing and you do your eye contact, make sure as a goalkeeper you are close to the penalty spot, not in position to receive the penalty when you're doing number 1 and when you're doing number 2. Then give yourself the verbal cue, number 3, when you're walking back towards your goal, okay? And the verbal cue that you might give yourself, it might be, the key word might be predator, and that's a trigger to then trigger, you guessed it, these 3 cues. To make sure you watch the players run up, you watch for them planting the foot, and you watch their hip direction. It's going to be the biggest telltale sign ever. Now, with the hip direction, it's the biggest giveaway ever. So as a player's running up and they plant their, let's say their left foot down, that means their left hip is pointing towards the goalkeeper's left, which means they're going to strike the ball with the right foot to your right side. So if their hip's pointing to the left slightly as they plant the foot, they're going to hit to the opposite direction. And it's the same with the other hip. So for any of my goalkeepers out there, I want you to practice this. Say to your teammates in pre-season or during the season, wherever you're at with your season at the moment, can we practice some penalties? And make a note on your water bottle what your 3 cues are: run up, plant foot, hip direction. Give yourself the key word. So you've all seen goalkeepers in the Premier League and they all have notes on the water bottle. 9 times out of 10, they will have the verbal cue, which will be the word that triggers them. So it could be predator, and then it will be the list of the 3 cues: run up, plant foot, hip direction. They're the 3 things to do, but they've got to remember as well not to forget to deep breathe and not to forget the eye contact with the players. And remember, the key one for me is the hip direction. As that left foot gets planted down, if that hip's pointing slightly towards the keeper's left, it means they're going to strike the ball to the right. Okay, it's neon impossible, it's physically impossible to have a left foot planted with a hip slightly pointing to the left to be able to strike the ball to the left with your right foot, okay? So the hip direction is the biggest cue you will ever get. Now, you're all probably asking, that's enough about goalkeepers, we want to know what the magic is, how to guarantee we score all of the goals. I'm going to give you that. Now, you'll all remember there's a particular coach called, just put this on, Jurgen Klopp, okay? And at his time in Liverpool, okay, in the last 7 years of his career, they employed a penalty coach. And in them 7 years, Liverpool were involved in 6 penalty kicks and they lost 0. They won all of the times they went to penalty kicks. They went to penalty kicks against Chelsea in the League Cup final. They went to penalty kicks against Chelsea in the FA Cup final, and we can go on and on. If you want to know what the secret is, we spoke at the beginning, as an attacking player or a player who's taken a penalty, we've got pressures, we've got anxiety, we've got tightening of muscles, we've got shortened decision time, we've got confidence that can be affected. Hesitant takers decide late, which increases rush technique. The best penalty takers we discovered take the penalties early, and they'll do good placement in disguise. So what Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool discovered, and I'm amazed that this hasn't been utilised more over the years, and I'm hoping to see a team do it in the World Cup, and I'm hoping that Jurgen Klopp's friend, okay, a certain Mr. Tuchel, okay, who is the head coach of England, will be employing, being a fellow German, the same penalty techniques. Now, I've actually since discovered that England have just employed a penalty coach, and the coach that they've hired is the same one that worked with Jurgen Klopp. So that bodes well for England in the event they get into any penalties. Now, you're probably wondering, but Ray, what is it? What's the secret? This is the secret. So penalty taker 1, penalty taker 3, 4 and 5. Liverpool's team used to have iPads out on the pitch, and they would show the player. So let's say player 1 was Mohamed Salah, and on that iPad they would show Salah a picture of the goal. Okay, so this is the goal, and they would show Salah, that's where we want you to put the ball. Then, next up, might be Virgil van Dijk. And on his goal, the ball might be there. So basically what they were doing was, they were taking a decision making away from the player. By calling the decision early, the players knew when they were walking up with the ball, their job was, I'm going to try and hit the ball low and hard into that corner. I'm going to try and hit the ball low and hard. So straight away, the anxiety's gone. Jurgen Klopp was the smartest man on the planet, because what he'd done is he put all the pressure on himself, and he was taking responsibility as the coach. So the players knew all they now have to do is go up and try and perform the technique and hit it into that corner. Okay? And that was their job. Did it work? It worked amazingly. 6 penalty kicks in different cup competitions, from Champions League to FA Cup to League Cup. Liverpool didn't lose penalty kicks in 7 years. It was then so frustrating for me as a fan to then go and watch Liverpool against PSG at Anfield last year in the Champions League, and it went to penalties, and under the guise of Arne Slot, they decided to do it Arne Slot's way, even though apparently Liverpool and the players had actually spoken to Arne Slot and his coaching team and said, we hadn't lost at penalties in 7 years. Can we do it the way we used to do it with Jurgen Klopp? Now, for me as a coach, I know most coaches at the top level, they don't like other coaches undermining them, but if this is what the coaching group were asking, I would give them it. Now, if it didn't pay off, then I'd go, well, look, guys, it obviously evidently didn't pay off, but that's okay. I still love yous and believe in yous, but what we're going to do is, next time, we are going to do it my way. Now, what happened was against PSG, you could see how deflated the players were after the first 2 penalties, because they didn't, all of a sudden, they went from 7 years of no pressure when they got a penalty to now all of a sudden the pressure was on. And I think it was a mistake in Arne Slot's career, and I think it was a big one, because I truly believe if Liverpool beat PSG on penalties last year, we'd probably go on and win that Champions League. So not only would they have won a Premier League, they would have won a Champions League. So hopefully you guys can understand the reason why. Now, not everyone will be blessed to have an iPad. You can have 5 of these cards printed out with basically the ball in the bottom left or the bottom right corner. Now, the reason why it was mixed up between the bottom left and the bottom right corner, we discovered again, you're 81% more likely to score by going low and hard into a corner. You're only 42% likely to score if you choose anywhere up high in the goal. So if you choose up anywhere high in the goal, you're only a 42% chance of getting success, because the more loft there is, the more air time the more time it gives the goalkeeper to get to the ball. So hopefully that reveals the top secrets of penalty taking and how to win in a penalty kick competition. If you're a goalkeeper, it's a really tough one if a team employs those tactics against you. And I hope, Jake, you enjoyed that one and you learned a little bit from it. Guys, if you enjoyed that particular topic, please give us a little thumbs up and give us a comment in there. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to just hop back in to my live screen. I'm going to have a little look at some of the questions that we've got on here. So a big thank you for that one. Now, we are going to go for a very, very quick 30-second break. We're going to get back. So I've still got 2 questions to cover, and we are probably going to go a little bit over today by 5 or 10 minutes. So hopefully you can hang around. If you can't hang around, remember, this is recorded and it will be dropped into the school platform, or the football plan as we call it, a little bit later on this afternoon, and you'll be able to watch it back. So bear with us, guys, and we will be back with you in the next 60
Don't bunch
seconds.
up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Ghost Grips, they stay cool and dry from start to finish.
These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Big thank you for joining us again. So our next question that we got, and I'm going to do this just on my live screen here, was from Ford Jokic, and I love this one. I would love to learn how to be more aware on the pitch as I am on my scanning. Now, he sort of answers the question within the question, but it's really important why we answer this question, because I think it's really, really good question to answer. So, how to be more aware, like you are aware in your scanning. So what we discovered was when we built the objectives many years ago, and scanning was probably the most important one for an outfield player, we actually discovered that the more you scan, the more aware you become. So what you can do is, Ford, and this is a great idea for everyone, if you're currently following objectives, and say your objectives is scanning, give that a break for a game. And what I want you to work on is scanning again, but in a very different way. And what we're going to get you to do is, I want your mum, your dad, your friends, your sister, your sibling, or you when you watch your game back on the recording, I want you to set yourself a challenge. If you know you're going to start in the first half and you're going to play most of the first half, I want you to watch and record how many times you scan both shoulders. And every time you scan both shoulders, you get a tick. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to mark you down if you don't scan, because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to raise what we call awareness points in the game. So every single time you scan both sides, we want to record that. Now, we only want to do it in one half of the game, so you choose which half you're going to do it in. And then every now and again, pull this out. Now, this is a great one, especially if you've got a couple of games coming up in the same week. Use one of the games to do this particular scanning, but this is not like an objective, so to speak, but what we're trying to do is improve game awareness. And how you improve game awareness is by being more aware, is by seeing as much as the pitch as often as you can. And how you see as much of the pitch as often as you can is by scanning. Now, for those guys who play, say, on the left side of midfield or the right side as a fullback, you're actually in a really beneficial, you're in a more of an advantage than anyone who plays central. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll do a little bit of a whiteboard session for us. Let me just put this screen control back across. Let me change this on. I'll put this on here. So if you are a right or a left sided player, I'll show you why you've got a bit of an advantage over everyone else, because let's say you're attacking this way, okay? And let's say you're a left back, okay? So this is your role. Now, 90% of the time, well, 100% of the time when your team's in possession, you are going to be high and wide, and your body position is going to be a little bit like this. So let's just imagine that's your foot, and that's your foot there, okay? So when your team's in possession, let's say your right back's got the ball over here, you're always going to have a nice open body, so you can view up the line, you can view all the way there, you can view all the way there, and the only little bit of scanning you might have to do is if you have to look to the right slightly and you have to scan there. So that's why I say if you're a left-sided player or a right-sided player, you've got the benefit of you can hug the touchline and you don't have to do a lot of scanning over your shoulders, so to speak. Where scanning over both shoulders is super important, and it's important for all positions, don't get me wrong, but it's more important for goalkeeper, central defenders, midfielders, and strikers, okay? So these are the ones that it's more important that we scan constantly over both shoulders, because you don't have the benefit to sort of position yourself on the touchline over here or up and down the touchline over here. And if you do, you shouldn't be over there. That's not your position. So this is why, let's say you're this centre midfielder here, you can view there, you can view there, you can view there without having to look over your shoulder. But if you want to view this way or this way, you've got to scan over your shoulders, okay? So this is why it's super important. So great question, Ford. I absolutely love this question. And this is why I picked it out, because even though it wasn't as long as Jake's question, it's a very important one that we don't really cover, and we haven't covered that much on the platform. And it's very prevalent to me that we need to make sure you understand the differences with match objectives, but also every now and again building your own, like what we would call, maybe you would call it a mini objective, but you're working on game awareness. So when we talk about your mini objective, also it's important that, you know, if you're ploughing through your match objectives but you're struggling to get a breakthrough, some of the players have asked me this, what do I do? Put it to the side for a week or two, give yourself a break, okay? And how you can do this, build in some of your own mini objectives, and one of your own mini objectives will be game awareness. Like Ford asked us in the question, how can I be more aware in the game? Well, now you know. We're now going to focus on how many times you scan left and right shoulder. Every time you do that, you're going to give yourself a tick. Now, if you get 47, great, mark it down. Where are you going to store this information? On your football blueprint. So again, for anyone who's watching who's new, and I'll do this for you to help you out. If you're not sure where to put this, okay, we can go to your football blueprint. So if we go to Classroom, football blueprint, we can click on the football blueprint here, okay, and we've got a multitude of places where we can record this. Now, you might put it down as one of your goals, all right? So it might be game awareness, and it's going to be achieved by scanning both shoulders, okay? Now you can literally, if you want to, you could just do this. You could go game 1 versus Man City if you're in an academy game. I got 47, all right? Game 2 versus Liverpool, I got 37. And then let's do game 3 versus Arsenal Football Club. I got 52. So you can actually see that you're recording your scores, and this is a good thing to check in on every now and again. Now also you might want some visual reminders on how you can visually now remember. If you want to, you can do a screenshot of this, so you can cut that and you can literally DM that to me, okay? Or what you can do is you can actually post it in the community and say, hey guys, I've recently been doing game awareness. I'm trying to scan both shoulders and these are my results for the last 3 games. Have any of you guys tried this? If not, I recommend you give it a go, because I found it really useful, because by game 3, I'd actually improved by 5 scans in a game. And then what you'll start to notice is you'll start to correlate your better games, and you'll notice that your teams will get better results as well. And this is something that you can check in on, and you can add it to your planner. Now, also, when you scroll through here, you'll notice there's a notes page as well. And you can put your numbers in here to save them, okay? But also, if you come down a little bit further down, you've got game reflections, things to work on. You can make notes in there. Again, if you want to, you can update on here. So you can even add in on here, game awareness, scanning, okay? And you can actually set it as a game checklist. So you can drop it in so you don't forget, and take the Football Blueprint widget on your phone, on your device. Finally, again, you have got notes in here. So again, if you want to store all your results in the notes, you can. And remember, you can then just simply just do a screen cut, and you can cut that screen away, and then you've got it, and then you can save it, and then you can add it into the community. Or if you want to get some feedback, you can DM me on that. So hopefully that helps everyone a little bit with that one. And again, that was a great one from Ford, so thank you for that one. Now, next one we're going to get to, and the final one, is what is the best way to stay physically and mentally focused on football and to ensure you have the right mindset for a game day? So the answer is pretty much what we've just covered, Khaleesi, and this is why I finished on this particular question. Now, what we discovered was in the Premier League, Khaleesi, was that when players had too much stuff to worry about and there was too much in the brain, a lot of mistakes were happening, anxiety was setting in, decision making was getting shorter because you had too much to worry about, and then all of a sudden you were rushing decisions. So what you're asking is the best way to stay physically and mentally focused on the football pitch, okay? Physically, keep your beep tests up. Keep your training up. Make sure your hours are on point. So that's from a physical element. But mentally, to know you're ready on the pitch, follow one thing. And that one thing you follow is objectives. So if you're following your match analysis objective, and it might be distribution, to see how many times you can complete passes, fantastic. It might be that you're a little bit fed up with your objective and you're struggling to get a breakthrough. Park it to the side for a couple of weeks, pull out your mini match objective, and it might be game awareness, scanning both shoulders. And what we discovered was when players focus on one thing, they're focusing on a process, they're not focusing on an outcome. And when you guys follow processes, guess what? Outcomes come a lot more often and regularly. And that is why those 3 questions for me all interweaved into each other. So a big thank you to Jake, a big thank you to Ford, and a big thank you to Khaleesi. And hopefully they've all come together and made sense for all 3 of you. And if it doesn't, DM me, ask me, and I'll help you understand a little bit better. But the focus is, focus on one thing on the pitch. It will mentally have you right, and focus on a process, not an outcome. And the process is your objective or your mini objective that you've set yourself. And once you've set that mini objective, follow it through for 3, 4, 5 games. When you're focused on only one thing in your game, everything else just subconsciously happens, and your body will manage it through for you. Now, we're nearly at the end. I'm going to very quickly scan through some of the questions that we've got in here. So big good morning to everyone, guys. Champions League ball. So you got the Champions League ball, the 2025 Champions League ball. Fantastic. Now, I did have a 2025 Champions League ball in my office, and I think someone stole it on me. I'm going to have to find my one. So do me a big favour, that Champions League ball that you got, do you mind taking a picture of it, and will you drop it into the community post for me? I'm really keen to have a little look at it. I love looking at all the memorabilia and balls and that. Also, Jake, if you're still on, drop us those pictures of those Predators. I want to have a look at them Predators that you got as well. So if you get a chance in the community today. Hunter got the Ronaldo 2008 Manchester United Champions League jersey. No way, that's unbelievable. Hunter, I want to see a picture of that jersey, mate. Please take a picture of it, and not so much the front with the Man United jersey. I'm not a fan of Man United, but turn it over. I want a picture of Ronaldo in the number 7, and let me have a little look at it. I'm super pumped to see that. Jake had to disappear early to work, but he'll catch up a little bit later on. And then, yeah, that all makes sense to everyone. So look, guys, a big thank you for joining us. I didn't think we were going to get through that in the hour, but we've managed to nail it bang on 11:30. I am conscious some of you are still working, some of you have still got Christmas stuff going on. So we will be back on Tuesday, as ever. Drop in any questions into the community. I'll try my best to answer them before Tuesday. If I think it's a topic really worth covering and looking at, I'll do the old whiteboard for you, and I can draw up all of the information on the screen and hopefully give you guys a little bit of a better understanding. So a big thank you for joining me over the holidays. I love being with you all, and I'll be back online a little bit later on. If you have missed this today or you've missed part of it, don't stress. It is posted back into the community under the weekly live coaching calls. So a big goodbye from me, and enjoy the rest of your Christmas Saturday.
You don't bunch up, you don't get sweaty. Simple as that.
One of the things I noticed about my Goats grip socks is the grip runs across the whole panel, so there's no bunching or sliding in your boots.
These grip pads will help you not slip when you're going in for a tackle.
My old socks will get sweaty halfway through the game. Not with Ghost grips, they stay cool and dry from start to finish.
These guards are so lightweight, you forget they're even there, but they still give solid protection. It's like full freedom to play a game without that clunky feeling. I used to wear bulky guards that slip down every game. They stay in place the whole time.
These shin pads are stretchy, durable, definitely not be ripping anytime soon.
Switch the goat sleeves now. They don't slip, they don't slide. Nice and snug, nice and tight.
It's crazy how light these things are. I've worn a lot of old school pads in my time, and these are featherweight and super comfortable.
Legend begins where heroes end.
Why are you still wearing those old